So, hi, Silas.
Hi, Laurie. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing really well, thanks. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay. Uh, Good generally. I'm feeling, what can I say, a little emotionally battered today, I think.
Hmm.
I think, given the current circumstances, we are all going to have our days when we wake up and feel a bit shaken. Uh,
Yeah.
it's one of those days for me today, so yeah, I feel a little, yeah, that's the word, I think, shaken. But
Hmm.
generally speaking, good. Today is just one of those days.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, I know we're starting our coaching relationship today, and we're going to
Yeah.
be talking about how that goes. And already, I just want to say, you get to be how you are. I don't want you to feel like you ever have to show up in any particular emotional state. You're
Yeah.
shaken. That's how you are. So,
Yeah.
thanks for saying that already. And just,
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but just
I feel it's one of
already.
those days that I could do nothing other than be honest.
Fantastic.
I could have smoothed it over in a very English way and say I'm fine, but I'm not really.
Great. Well, I appreciate your honesty.
Mm.
In a little, in our next session, we'll probably do some values work. So that might feed into that
Yeah.
values work about the level of honesty and what you appreciate. But for now, today, what I want to do is just kind of create a foundation for our relationship, some
Mm.
contracting, some people call it, or agreements that we have with one another,
Mm.
how
Mm.
we want this to go, and just to set some boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So,
Fantastic.
so I'm excited. I just want to say I'm excited. I always love this, getting started, and it might feel a little slow. We're going through these things and not, jumping on stuff, but it's
Yeah.
part of creating a great relationship.
Yeah. 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 I'm excited too. I'm nervous and excited. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Anything you want me to know about nervous?
Um, No, not really. It's I'm just aware that this is being recorded. So I mean, it's you and I,
Mm,
but I know that people will be watching, and I think that just brings a little bit of nerves.
yeah.
There is also excitement there, and I feel very, very privileged to be here actually, and excited about what we can unearth.
Yeah. Great.
Mm.
Great. Great. Yes, we should name it that this is being recorded. And um, I want to give you permission also on that front. If there's anything that feels like it's too personal to share with the world, let's just park that.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Set
Yeah,
it aside. Please don't. And if I ever ask a question that feels like it's too personal,
yeah,
say too personal for general public
yeah,
consumption.
yeah. Great. Got that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and I'm going to be taking notes because these are things I want to remember throughout our coaching
Yes.
relationship.
Yeah, yeah, I may also, I've got a pen and pad here. I might also write things down as we go, just for my own
Yeah.
sake. Yeah.
Okay, great. So how do you want the mood to be in our coaching sessions? What works for you in terms of, you talked about unearthing. What helps you get into that state? Is it more playful or serious or?
Um, a bit of both. I like to dig deep, to be honest. I think that if we're going to do these sessions, I really want to get something out of it. And so I like to dig deep, but my sense of humor will always come in.
Okay.
My sense of humor will always pop up and make me feel safe. But yeah, I think openness is the thing. I think it's very important when being coached, just to be really, really open. And I'm not frightened to dig deep. So I would say probably don't be frightened to push me to
Okay,
to dig deep.
great. So I've got permission to dig deep.
Yeah, yeah,
And I also want you to have permission to tell me if we're not going far enough.
yeah.
I have to admit, part of me gets nervous, like, oh, am I going to dig deep enough? Am I going to do that right?
Right.
So I want you to just feel like that was a little skating on the surface.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because, okay, let me put it differently. I give you permission to dig deep. It's not an instruction.
Well, I take it as a desire, and I
Yes,
definitely want
yes,
to
I suppose
honor
it's a
that.
desire. Yeah, I suppose it's a desire. I mean, I know what kind of subject I want to be coached on, and because naturally thinking about this before coming to the session, I know that there's some stuff that's really quite deep that comes from childhood, and there's a desire in me to unearth, I suppose, my fears, or the fears that I deal with. So I like to get into that. So I suppose it's just really permission. It's not to say that it's going to be a difficult thing at all. It's probably very easy for us to unearth stuff and for you to unearth stuff. So yeah, it's permission and desire.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, because I noticed as soon as you said childhood, and I'm thinking coaching that's present and moving forward, I just want to say something about how I hold that.
Yeah.
Unearthing things and digging things up from childhood. I trust and believe that we have current beliefs that come from childhood, and those live within us, and they direct our behaviors every day in an everyday sort of way. So I'm happy to work with that kind of thing, like unearth from childhood.
Yeah.
I just want to, I'm not a therapist, and I don't do, like if there's trauma stuff and like that, there will be a boundary there, whereas like that's not what I'm qualified to do. So we'll set a boundary around that. And I wouldn't want to abandon you if you're in the middle of digging up something. Do you know what I mean? Let's work together to create some boundaries.
Yeah, totally. No, I get that, and I don't think that, and it's good for you to call that, but I don't think that that's what I meant. That I'm here in a kind of therapeutic way to dig deep into childhood trauma at all. It's just that I know that there are patterns that have been. When I say from childhood, I actually mean like most of my life. I know that there's a pattern.
Yeah.
So I'm still dealing with that pattern today, and sometimes that pattern can either enable me or disable me. So it's really about just looking at that pattern and unearthing that. So yeah, I understand that it's about the present day and how we move forward, but the present day does have patterns of behavior or patterns of thinking that have been around for a long time for me.
Yeah, great, perfect. I think we're aligned.
I get the distinction.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So we're going to go dig deep, and you've got a sense of humor that you're going to bring. I like to bring lightness, because I think really, we do have patterns, and it's just normal human nature, and we don't have to get all serious, because actually our brains don't work very well when we're really serious.
Yeah. Right.
We'll get further. Is that all right? Yeah. Yeah. And also, when you mentioned sense of humor, and you mentioned being English, sometimes I notice from some people a sense of humor as a deflection mechanism. Do you mind if I just check with you every now and then? Or I'll probably check with myself first. Is that a deflection? We all use humor from time to time to distract. Do you mind if I just check in with you?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, okay. Mostly, I assume the humor will grease the skids, as they say. Just help get us where we want to go.
Yeah, great.
Sometimes it's a deflection.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've got digging deep, we've got humor, we've got permission, we've got clarity around the difference between coaching and therapy. Yeah. Anything else you want to establish ahead of time? I mean, we can always check back on our agreements. But.
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. I think there's a couple of other questions I can think of. So you want to dig deep, and I've got permission. So I'm assuming that also means permission to challenge.
Yes. Actually, I think that's what I mean primarily by digging deep. Actually, is to challenge. Yeah. Something's coming up for me right now, and I suppose this kind of comes into how I want things to be. I am feeling very sensitive at the moment. It's one of those days, as I said, I feel a bit shaken. I'm feeling very sensitive. I notice actually that what I know about myself is that I am actually a very sensitive person. And I think that that probably belies a lack of confidence, which seems counterintuitive. A lot of people see me as a very confident person. I don't see myself that way, but I do work in an industry, where one can always appear to be confident. Being an actor, it's kind of interesting. I think that people think actors are extroverted people, I
Mm.
always think of actors as very introverted people, but a good place to hide is on stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good place to hide if you're an introvert.
Okay.
So there's always that kind of contradiction. So whilst I want to dig deep and be challenged, I am also very sensitive. But I think sometimes I hide that sensitivity, stops me from moving forward. I can feel hurt easily. So I suppose what I'm saying is that in this context, in the bowl of this, session, I would want you to challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
I would, because I want to get stuff out of it.
Yeah.
And I know that, well, if I'm in a rehearsal room, I get challenged.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's painful, but there's always a breakthrough if you go there. So it's a question of it's a thing of holding the sensitivity, but also, really challenging me, because I can rise to that. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think you're telling me just so I know that there will be sensitivity there if I challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's something I should look for, because I appreciate that you can push through that and get somewhere, but I wouldn't want to challenge so much that, there's so much sensitivity that you're walking on eggshells, or it's, I know that isn't
Yeah.
always productive. Is there
Yeah.
something I should watch out for?
No, I think it's just to know that I can be challenged. I can be challenged. I think what I'm saying is that I rise to a challenge.
Okay.
Sometimes one has to kind of go through things that may be painful or sensitive in order to break through to the other side. So
Okay.
yeah, I think all of that is to say, yes, do challenge me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can also, it may sound odd, we can have kind of a meta conversation, like a little conversation of like, is this too much challenge? Like we stay with it, and
Yeah.
how's the challenge sensitivity thing going?
Yeah. I think
like
yes. I think that would be really good, actually, just to be able to have that conversation outside of, is this okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Is too much? Is this okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Push. This okay?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Right.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. I think I've got the bulk of what what we need here for agreements. We can always come back to them, and we will check in on them, and we can always tweak them. And in the moment, if you say, too much, I want you to have just permission to push back, or that's too personal, that's too sensitive, any of that. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
If I can trust you to do that, then I have more permission to expand into a fuller world of possibilities.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
And have a full range of coaching skills and tools.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And that sounds like we'll be working together.
That's great.
Yes.
I'm already feeling that there's partnership here, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. That feels very true.
Yeah. Okay.
Feel very safe, I have to say.
Good.
It's good to say all of those things.
I'm happy to hear that. Okay. Safety first, I often say. And then we go for it.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So we have sort of our emotional contract agreements. Yeah. I'm thinking now more about the logistical kinds of, more about topics. Like, where's the field that we will be working in? Where do you want to go in this coaching? What do you want to really get out of it ultimately?
Do you mean what do I want to be coached on?
Yeah, what do you want to be coached on? That's the easy way to say it.
Yeah. Well, I have this thing at the moment, which is wanting to kind of delve into creating my own career around voiceover work and doing audiobooks specifically.
Yeah.
So I already do professional work. When I say that, what I mean is that I have a voiceover agent, and work comes through them. But they deal with one part of the industry, and one of the things they don't really deal with is audiobooks. I do a lot of video games, and sometimes commercials and other kinds of things like that. But there's another part of the industry which in which people find their own work. So there are various websites you can join, and that requires you to know about how to record, about how to edit. And I've never done an audio book before, but there's this kind of untapped world that I want to go into. And it's quite a big world. And I find it quite overwhelming because I'm a novice. And that's the thing that I would really like to be able to crack. So, that's the subject I would like to work with.
Okay, great. I just have to say, I love your voice. I think it's so beautiful. I'm thrilled to support you in creating.
Thank you. Thank you. I cannot tell you how, this is one of these things that's come up. I cannot tell you how many times in my life people have said to me, "You've got a great voice. Do you do audio books?" And I love reading and I like writing too. So it's a kind of no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's a world that I can be in.
Yeah.
But I haven't yet entered into it, and it's that's my challenge.
Okay, so that's the main focus for us.
Yes, yeah. Because I think that's something. It would be great to be coached on that because that's something I want to break through with.
Fantastic. You describe yourself as a novice.
Yeah.
So if our journey is starting with novice.
Yeah.
And then we're heading to master, expert. Where's the ends?
Well, I think that it would take me many years to become a master. But I think, and I don't think that's something that we can achieve by the end of a coaching session, but, or, a coaching relationship. But I would say that what we can achieve by the end of a coaching relationship is to have me on the road, so that I'm doing everything that it takes to practice to become a master in years to come. Does that make sense?
Yes. Master in the making, on the road to master in the making.
There you go. Yeah.
That's great. Just so I understand that world a little bit, it's like you would be your own agent in a way because you are doing all the managing and finding of the jobs, and
yes,
that's
exactly
part of it. So it's
exactly. It's interesting what's happening in our career because so much of the acting career at the moment is on hold because of the pandemic, and usually voiceover agents might not want their clients to go into this kind of other market because it's not as well paid. There are some kind of dodgy dealings out there, so you have to kind of tread carefully, although it is also if you think about the world of publishing, there are big publishing houses, and then there's lots of ways to self-publish.
Sure.
So this is like that. There's this kind of other world, but because of the situation, voiceover agents are now saying to clients, if you want to straddle the two parts of the industry, the ones that the part of the industry that we take care of, and also the other part of the industry, you can do that. We not only allow that, but we encourage that. So in a way, the barriers are coming down because needs must. People need to find their own way of keeping afloat and making money, and so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it, and that's how the industry looks.
Okay. So within that, if that's the main road that we're on, towards master in the making road, there's probably several sub-roads. So you mentioned confidence earlier in our conversation. Is that likely to be part of this, like confidence in your own ability?
Yes. Yeah, there are lots of areas where I don't have confidence and I don't have knowledge. So it's a question of like building knowledge, building practice, and building confidence. Yeah.
Okay. And it feels to me like building a business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really your own business where you're taking care of all the managing of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is something that I find very, very difficult. I mean, I even experienced that as a coach. You know, there's being a coach, and then there's the running of the business of a coach. There's being a voiceover actor and the running of a business of a voiceover actor.
Yeah.
And the creation and running of a business is where I find most of my blockages.
Okay.
And I think that just comes from not having practiced. I mean, as an actor, I've always had an agent do that work for me, either a visuals agent or a voiceover agent.
Yeah.
You know, that's the nature of our work. And I am not entrepreneurial by nature, you know, so there's a lot of blockages around there.
Great. I mean, not great that that's the way it is, but
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah.
great, got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so you also mentioned the coaching. I know you do some coaching. That's not your primary thing. We're setting that to the side. That's not part of our focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you think might be, I mean, obviously as we go, we will incorporate whatever is needed in our coaching conversations. And I also want to just say we have a primary direction. And if something comes up, we show up on a coaching session and there's something that's gone on that day that has you really shaken.
Yeah.
We can always head that way. It's your choice.
Yeah, great. Got that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just wanting, we've got this established direction that we're heading, and then
yeah.
choice which part of it we want to work on.
That's great. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
The other thing I didn't ask about in our general agreements with one another, I like to, dig in, do some underlying work, personal development kind of work, like, check out these different blockages that you talk about, or old thinking patterns, that kind of stuff. And then apply that to this direction that you want to go in, and create some homework. Some people hate that word homework. How are you with the word homework?
I'm great with it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm great. For me, it's like, I think of it as stepping stones.
Okay, good.
I'm treading on all of the stepping stones each week. I'll get somewhere.
Okay, good. And that homework is likely to be twofold. One is likely to work on some of the thinking patterns.
Yes.
In general, and that could be applied to any area of your life, most likely.
Yeah.
And specifically, you want to apply it to this road that we're on. So there will be something likely about how you move forward on this road to mastery.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So it's like twofold homework. I just want to set expectations.
Yeah.
For you.
Got that. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. So this feels like we've got a good, solid starting place. It's got a foundation, a direction, some back and forth kind of agreements, boundaries. Anything else you think we need before we dive into the work itself, which we're going to do in a separate session? Because we're going to start with, that session will be about values, which is also kind of foundational, but it's more about where you find your inspiration.
Yeah.
So that's going to be helpful too in moving forward. But for this session and any foundational kind of conversations, is there anything else you can think of that I need to know or we need to agree on?
Not that springs to mind right away. No.
Okay. So why don't we leave it here?
Yep.
And we'll find our next time. But for now, I'm going to stop our recording.
Great.
Thanks, Silas.